March 1st, 1992. Crystal, beware of the Ides of March. Oh, Whitney, if you would only believe that all power has been given to Jesus Christ, and the only power the devil has left is what mankind gives to him. The devil's power is the power of suggestion to deceive people into thinking he has great power. If you choose to continue to listen to the devil's lies, then look out yourself for the Ides of March. However, the devil has no power over the Christian, but the Christian is only protected from the devil's tricks if the Christian is willing to wear God's protective armor every moment of their lives. Oh, Crystal, ever since Jasper's wife came into your life, you've become more preachy than ever. How can you still love God after how Jasper treated you? Jasper repented of his folly, and I have great joy in only being his sister in the Lord. Jasper helps to gird me up in the faith, and I hope I'm doing the same for him in the letters and packages I send to him. But he doesn't even call you or send you anything for Valentine's Day, even in Christian love. Jasper's line of work makes him very busy, and I don't expect him to write if he's unable. Besides, when I call him up every once in a while, that's how he returns his Christian love to me. Crystal, you are too naive and too trusting. But from your description of why Jasper's slack in his correspondence, etc., to you, it certainly does make it sound like Jasper is like your brother-in-law to be, for he sure takes you for granted. Crystal laughed at Whitney's admonition and concern for her well-being. How she loved Whitney. Whitney was always honest with her, and even though Crystal didn't have the same bond of love with Whitney as she had with Jasper, Crystal never gave up the hope that someday Whitney would come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Crystal, Dan just told me something very exciting. What's that, Kelly? Some relatives of him who live near where Jasper lived want to give Dan and I a bridal shower. That's great, Kelly. When do you go down to visit with them? Well, since you're planning to take a week off work from April 13th to 17th, Dan and I thought we could make it an all-around vacation trip for all of us. Dan even mentioned he'd like to include going to see Alex King, as lately Dan has been reading a few of Alex's articles in the Pilgrimage publications. So Dan would like to see what the man behind the writing is truly like. Kelly waited for all this information to sink in. Dan was behind Kelly's scheme 100% to try and get one of those two men to fall in love with Crystal, so Kelly would have her double wedding dream become a reality after all. But would Crystal cooperate? Crystal had this uncanny way of reading people's minds and motives, although Crystal was unaware that she had this ability, until the person she was talking with confessed what the motive was behind the suggestion. True to form, Crystal discerned Kelly's true motive in wanting to include Alex King on the agenda. Kelly, I'm happy to have the opportunity to go see Jasper, and I'll write to him today to see if it's a good time for him. But as far as Alex King goes, you will have to get Dan to make the arrangements to meet with him, as I don't want Mr. King to think we are on a matchmaking expedition. Oh, Crystal, why do you always have to jump to the wrong conclusions? Lied Kelly. I thought you would be happy that Dan is finally interested in the heritage that goes back 4 generations in our family. I'm very glad Dan is beginning to take an interest. My only concern is that Mr. King will get the wrong idea, so I would feel more comfortable if Dan made the arrangements. Oh, Dan won't mind doing it, especially if it will calm your silly fears. Kelly went off to tell Dan that everything was going according to schedule, while Crystal wrote to Jasper. Dear Jasper, I didn't know what to get you for your birthday. So instead of a gift, I'd like to give you some information that I hope you will like very much. If the Lord wills, and if you would like it too, I'd like to meet you in person. And here's how, Lord willing, we can do it. I did not take my planned vacation days at Christmas, so I asked if I could take them from April 13th to 17th. What we, Dan Kelly and I, would plan to do is stay in a hotel in his town during that week. Dan has some relatives near where you live who want to give him a bridal shower. I realize that with your working hours being strange at times, we could not see much of each other during the week, though at any time you feel you could squeeze in would be precious to me. I realize that realistically, the only times you really could spare maybe would be as follows. April 11th, Saturday night, we should arrive in his town sometime in the late afternoon. April 12th, Sunday. April 17th, Good Friday, if you have this day off. April 18th, Saturday, before we leave for home. If you are in favor of this plan or not, I would like you to call me collect on your birthday to let me know what you think. Until then, keep carrying on, buddy. In his love, Crystal.